Have you ever had a moment where your past just reaches out and slaps you across the face? I was making breakfast, just an ordinary Tuesday. The sun was coming through my kitchen window, hitting the jar of honey just right, and my phone, sitting on the counter, gave this little blip. A notification. It was from a cousin, not even a close one. Just family. The message said, "Thinking of you today. Hope you're holding up okay." My stomach did a slow, cold roll. Holding up from what? I tapped the screen. And there it was. A social media post. A gallery. The first picture loaded, huge and bright on my screen. It was her. My sister, standing in a field of wildflowers in a wedding dress I didn't recognize, her head thrown back, laughing at a sky I couldn't see. A man's hands were on her waist from behind. His face was tucked into her neck. The caption read, "1 week ago, I married my best friend. The start of forever. Hashtag secret wedding. Hashtag just us." The world didn't spin. It just dissolved. The sound of my own heartbeat filled my ears, a loud, slow drum. My sister, my baby sister, she got married. And she didn't tell me. We shared a womb. We shared a bedroom for 18 years. We shared secrets under blankets with flashlights. I taught her how to ride a bike. I held her hand through her first heartbreak. I was supposed to fix her veil. I was supposed to make a terrible, embarrassing speech. I was supposed to be there. And I wasn't even told. Tell me in the comments right now. Have you ever felt that? That seismic crack in the foundation of your life? If you have, type yes in the comments. Let me see I'm not alone in this kitchen right now. I must have stood there for an hour just staring, scrolling through the dozen pictures. No family, no childhood friends, just the two of them, in a field by a lake, in front of a crooked little arch of birchwood. It was beautiful. It was the wedding she'd always sketched in the margins of her notebooks. And I was nowhere in it. This wasn't a snub. This was an eradication. I had been carefully, surgically, cut out of the most important day of her life, and I had to know why, even if the answer killed me. Tension. The silent house I didn't call. Calling was for normal problems. This was a ghost in the machinery of my life. I got in my car and I drove, 3 hours to our hometown, to the little blue house where we grew up, where our mom still lived. The air felt thick when I pulled up. The house looked smaller. Mom's car was in the driveway, but the curtains were all drawn. On a sunny afternoon, I knocked. The sound was too loud. Mom opened the door. She looked older than she had 2 months ago. Her eyes were red-rimmed but dry, like she'd run out of tears. She didn't look surprised to see me. She just sighed, a sound from deep in her bones, and stepped back to let me in. The house was dark and smelled like stale coffee and old worry. "You saw," she said. It wasn't a question. "Why, Mom?" The words came out a broken whisper. "What did I do?" She touched my arm, her fingers cold. "You didn't do anything, sweetheart. Sit down." We sat at the same kitchen table where we'd done homework, where we'd decorated a million cookies. She told me a story that made less and less sense. The man in the pictures. His name is David. He's charming. He's old-fashioned. He swept my sister off her feet 6 months ago. He had answers for everything, a plan for everything. He helped her simplify. He said her life was too chaotic. Too many demands. Too many people pulling on her. First, it was little things. He convinced her to quit her book club. Too much gossip, he said. Then her Thursday night dinners with friends. They were a bad influence, he said, holding her back. Then it was me. Our weekly phone calls. He'd say she was napping. She was in the shower. She was overwhelmed. He told Mom my sister needed space from family dynamics to heal. He used words that sounded like love, protection, sanctuary, peace. He was building a wall around her, brick by brick, and calling it a palace. "She called me the night before," Mom whispered, her voice cracking. "She said she was eloping, just them and a justice of the peace. I begged her to wait to just think. She said David had everything arranged, that it was perfect, that she was finally safe. Mum looked at me, her eyes full of a terror I'd never seen before. Safe from what? What is she safe from? A chill, deeper than winter, settled in my chest. This wasn't about missing a party. My sister wasn't brushing me off. She was being removed, deleted from her own life. And then Mom told me the thing that turned the chill to ice. 3 days after the wedding, she said, leaning so close I could see the fear trembling in the lines around her mouth. She came by, just for a minute. David waited in the car. She looked thin, jumpy, like a scared bird. She gave me a box. She said, "Keep this for me, Mom. Just keep it safe." It was heavy. I didn't open it until she left. Mum got up, her movements slow and pained. She went to the hall closet, moved coats aside, and pulled out a locked metal strongbox, the kind you'd buy at a hardware store. She set it on the table between us with a heavy thud. "I opened it," Mom said. "I shouldn't have, but I did." She unlocked it, lifted the lid. Inside wasn't jewellery or keepsakes. It was passports. My sister's old one, and a new one with a different photo, a different hairstyle. A driver's license from another state with her picture but a different name. A sealed envelope with my name on it. And a small black velvet jewellery box. Mom opened the jewellery box. Nestled inside wasn't a ring. It was a tiny USB drive, the kind you can hide anywhere. "This is running," Mom said, her hand hovering over the box like it was a live wire. "This is not a love story. This is a hiding place. Subscribe to this channel, please. Do it right now. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Because what I'm about to tell you, it's not just my story. It could be anyone's story. And the more of us who are listening, the harder it is for people to vanish in plain sight. Tell me where you're watching from. Your town, your state. It makes this feel real. It makes her real. The middle, the ghost, in the machine. I took the box. I took it home. I felt like a thief carrying stolen secrets. That night, in the absolute silence of my own house, I opened the envelope with my name. The handwriting was hers, but the letters were small, tight, controlled, not her usual looping scrawl. It read, "If you're reading this, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." I had to make it look real. The pulling away. The silence. He watches everything. He checks my phone. He has software. He says it's for security. I need you to be mad at me. I need you to be hurt. It's the only way he'll believe you're out. It's the only way you'll be safe. David isn't who he says he is. The business he sold, he didn't sell it. It was taken by people who are very, very angry. He owes them more than money. He used my name, my credit, my life to get deeper in. The wedding, it wasn't for love. It was a legal knot. It ties his debts to me. All of them. I am a life raft he's trying to sink with him. The things on this drive, it's proof of the lies, the fraud, the real names. I copied it before he could wipe it. He thinks it's gone. I have a plan. I'm going to get out. I'm going to take this to the right people and disappear. But if you have this box, my plan failed. And I need you, my big sister, to be my voice. Go to the FBI, the white-collar crime division. Give them the drive. Tell them about the passports. Don't try to find me. Don't call. He'll know. Just do this one thing for me. Be my witness. I love you. I always have. Remember me in the tree fort? Remember me laughing? That's the real me. That's who I'm trying to get back to. Please, hurry. I read it 5 times. The paper was stained in one corner, a watermark, a tear. My hurt, my jealousy, my heartbreak. It all evaporated, replaced by a towering, terrifying wave of protective fury. She wasn't leaving me behind. She was throwing herself in front of a train to push me off the tracks. She'd broken my heart on purpose, to save it. I plugged in the USB drive. It had one folder labeled tax receipts. Inside were hundreds of files, spreadsheets, scans of documents with official stamps, emails, bank transfers with more zeros than I could comprehend. And pictures. Men getting in and out of cars, grainy surveillance photos, a ledger with initials and codes. This was a movie, but it was my sister's life. For the next week, I lived in a nightmare. I contacted a lawyer a friend knew, paying in cash. He listened, his face growing graver by the minute. He made a call. I was given a name, an appointment at an unmarked federal building in the city, 2 hours away. The night before the meeting, I couldn't sleep. Every car that passed was him. Every creak of the house was a footstep. I slept with the strongbox under my bed, my hand on the cold metal. The building was beige and boring. I was led to a small plain room. 2 people were there. A woman, Agent Miller, with kind eyes that didn't miss a thing. A man, Agent Cross, who was very still like a coiled spring. I told them everything. I showed them the letter. I handed over the box. They didn't look shocked. They looked focused, intensely, clinically focused. Agent Miller spoke softly. Your sister is very smart. What she's gathered here, it corroborates an ongoing investigation. David, last name, is a person of interest, not for fraud. For embezzlement and connections to a transnational organized crime syndicate. They use marriages, joint assets. It's a way to launder, to hide, to create plausible deniability. The words hung in the air. Organized crime syndicate. This was my little sister who still owned Beanie Babies. Is she in immediate physical danger? I asked, my voice barely there. Agent Cross exchanged a look with Miller. The danger is structural, he said carefully. He has isolated her. He controls her resources, her documents, her communication. The threat isn't necessarily a gun. It's the cage, the legal cage she's in, which these people enforce with very real consequences. If she tries to leave, they can use the law she's now tied to destroy her. Or worse. I left the building feeling hollow. I had handed over the nuclear codes and was told to go home and fold laundry. The car ride home was a blur. The relief of having acted was crushed under the weight of the new, monstrous reality. My sister was married to a criminal, a ghost, and I had to pretend to be a hurt, estranged sister while federal agents moved in the shadows. The emotional payoff and twist, the uninvited guest. A month passed, the longest month of my life. I followed instructions. I posted a vague, sad quote about family on social media. I let mutual friends comfort me. I played my part in my sister's terrible play. Then, last Saturday, my doorbell rang. It was late afternoon. I wasn't expecting anyone. I looked through the peephole, and my heart simply stopped. It was her, my sister, standing on my front porch, alone. She was wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap, her arms wrapped around herself. She looked like a stranger and the most familiar person in the world all at once. I yanked the door open. We didn't hug. We just stared at each other, a hurricane of unsaid things between us. "Can I come in?" she whispered, her voice raspy. I pulled her inside, locked the door, and drew all the blinds. We stood in my dim living room. "How?" was all I could manage. She took off her sunglasses. Her eyes were haunted, but clear, sharp. "He's gone. For the day. A business meeting." I found one of his burner phones. I memorized the number you texted to Mom years ago for emergencies. I called a taxi from 3 towns over. "I have 2 hours." Then she broke. The sobs came from a place so deep and damaged, it was a sound I'd never heard before. I held her. I rocked her like when we were kids. She cried for everything, the fear, the loneliness, the lies, the wedding photos where her smile was a monument to her terror. When she could breathe again, she told me the rest. The parts the letter didn't have, the business was a shell. A Ponzi scheme that had collapsed. The men he owed weren't just angry investors, they were violent, He'd promised them my sister's inheritance, our father's life insurance, still held in a trust, as collateral. The wedding sped everything up, gave him immediate legal standing. He never loved me, she said, utterly calm now. I was a balance sheet, a pretty useful piece of property. The agents, I started. I know, she said. They made contact. My blood went cold. What? How? A woman came to the house. A city inspector, she said, checking water lines for the new development. She was in the kitchen. She showed me her badge under the table. She said 2 words, the strong box. And then she left. My sister looked at me with awe. You did it. You really did it. The FBI had made their presence known to her. They were telling her she wasn't alone. They were throwing her a lifeline while her husband watched. They have a plan, she said, but it requires me to go back, for a little while longer, to act normal until they have everything in place for an arrest. They need to catch him in the act of a transfer. It's happening soon. I came to see you, to say I'm sorry, to say thank you, and to tell you what happens next. She grabbed my hands. Her grip was ferocious. If it works, I'll vanish. Witness protection, a new name, a new life. I won't be able to contact you, maybe for years, maybe ever. The air left the room. The cost of her freedom was us. Again. Forever. This is the last time, she cried, for a long, long time, so you have to remember this. Not the wedding, not the lies. This, me here, you there. Us, the real us. We sat on the floor like we were kids in our shared bedroom. We didn't talk about the danger, we talked about the tree fort, the time she put red lipstick on the cat, the stupid songs we made up. We laughed until we cried, and cried until we laughed. Her 2 hours were up. She stood at the door, a soldier returning to the front lines. When you see the news, she said, her voice steady now, strong, when you see his face on the news, know I'm okay, know you saved me, and know that I am, somewhere, eating terrible ice cream and thinking of you. She hugged me, a hug that held a lifetime. And then she was gone, down the steps, into a waiting taxi she'd called from my phone. I never saw the driver's face that was 4 days ago. I am back in my kitchen. The sun is hitting the honey jar again. But nothing is the same. I am waiting for the world to explode. I am waiting for the news alert on my phone. I am waiting to see the face of the man who married my sister to destroy her. I am a secret keeper again. But this time, the secret is a fragile, blooming hope. She is out there. She is playing her part. And soon, the wedding that I wasn't invited to will be annulled by the full force of the law. But here is the cliffhanger, the twist you won't see coming. An hour ago, my doorbell rang again. My heart leapt. Was it her? Was it over so soon? I looked through the peephole. It wasn't her, it was a delivery man. He held a single long-stemmed white rose in a crystal vase. No card. He said, "Special delivery for my name, no sender." I took it inside. My hands were shaking. A white rose. It could mean peace, it could mean purity, it could also be a warning. I placed it on my kitchen table, and as I pulled my hand back, I saw it. A tiny, almost invisible piece of technology nestled among the petals. Not a bug. Something else. A miniature camera, a tracker, or a beacon from the agents. A signal. I don't know, I haven't touched it. I'm just staring at it. This beautiful, ominous flower on my table. Is it from them, the bad guys, letting me know I'm seen? Or is it from the good guys, letting me know the operation is live? Or is it from her, a final silent goodbye? I don't know. And I can't ask. I have to sit here, in my quiet kitchen, and wait. The wedding I wasn't invited to was just the first scene. The final act is about to begin, and I have a front row seat to my own heart, breaking and healing all at once. The white rose sat on my kitchen table for 3 days. 3 days where I didn't sleep, where every sound was a message, every car, a verdict. I watched the news constantly, scrolling, refreshing, waiting for his face to appear. I didn't touch the rose. I just studied it, that tiny glinting piece nestled in the petals. Was it watching me? Or was I watching it? On the fourth morning, as the first light turned the vase into a prism on my table, it happened. My phone buzzed. Not a notification. A call. From a number I didn't know with a city area code 2 states over. My hand hovered over it. The heartbeat in my ears was louder now, drowning out the quiet of the kitchen. I answered. It's done. That was all. 2 words from a voice I didn't recognize, clipped, professional. Then the line went dead. For a full minute I just stood there, the phone cold against my ear. Then I fumbled for the remote, turned on the television, and found the national news. And there he was, David. His handsome face was pale, his eyes wide with a different kind of intensity now, raw, unmasked fear. He was in a suit, handcuffed, being led from a gleaming corporate building by agents in windbreakers. The headline scrolled underneath, Major Financial Crimes Bust, Alleged Ponzi Scheme, Architect Arrested, Tied to International Fraud Ring. The reporter's voice was a distant buzz. Apprehended this morning following a year-long investigation. Significant evidence provided by a confidential source, facing multiple counts of wire fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. They didn't show her. They didn't mention a wife. To the world, she was already a ghost. The relief that hit me was so physical, I had to sit down. It was over. He was gone. The cage door was swung wide open, but then the silence rushed back in. A new kind of silence. Where was she? Was she in a safe house? A motel room under a new name? Was she watching this too, somewhere with a cup of bad coffee, finally able to breathe? I looked at the white rose. It wasn't a threat. It was a signal, and its message had been delivered. The tiny device in the petals. It was inert now. A spent shell. I stood up. I picked up the vase. I carried it to the sink. Gently, I lifted the rose out, my fingers avoiding the hidden tech. I held its perfect white bloom under the tap and let the water run over it, washing away the dust, the fear, the waiting. Then, I did what I'd been wanting to do for months. I went to my closet. I pulled out an old dusty shoebox from the top shelf. Inside weren't shoes, it was us. Faded Polaroids, ticket stubs from concerts, a friendship bracelet, its threads frayed, a dried corsage from her high school prom. I took out my favorite picture. The 2 of us, maybe 10 and 8 in our tree fort, grins, missing teeth, hair wild, knees scraped. We were looking at each other, not the camera, caught in a laugh only we could hear. I propped that picture up right next to the rose in its vase. The past and the present, the memory and the mystery. That was 2 weeks ago. The news cycle moved on. The world kept spinning. My life returned to a kind of normal. But it's a different normal now. I see the space between things more clearly. The quiet love in a friend's text, the unspoken worry in a mother's eyes. I listen for the screams that sound like silence. And I know somewhere she is learning a new name. She is memorizing a new history. She is trying to remember how to be a person who isn't afraid. I won't hear from her. Not for a long, long time. Maybe never. But here is the true ending. The one I didn't see coming. This morning, I went to get my mail. Bills, flyers, the usual. And there, between a catalogue and a gas bill, was a plain postcard. A generic picture of a mountain range somewhere in America. No stamp. No postmark. It must have been slipped into the box by hand. On the back, in block letters cut from a magazine, it said, "The fort is still standing. That's all. No name, no return address. Just 5 words." I held it in my hands, right there at the end of my driveway, and I felt the sun warm on my skin. And I smiled, a real full unbroken smile for the first time in a year. She's out there, and she's safe, and she remembers. The wedding I wasn't invited to was the funeral for the life she had to leave behind. And my heart, which broke into a million pieces that day, didn't just heal. It grew. It grew big enough to hold the love for the sister I had and the hope for the stranger she's become. It grew strong enough to understand that sometimes the most profound act of love is not holding on. Sound of the heartbeat, which has been steady throughout, begins to gradually slow, becoming calmer. It's letting go with so much faith that love becomes a compass, not a chain. She is my ghost now, and I am her keeper. And that is enough. If this story found its way into your heart, if you rooted for her, if you felt that relief, then do something for me. Do something for her. Hit the like button. Let it be a signal flare in the algorithm, a way for this story of quiet bravery to find its way to someone else who might need to hear it. Subscribe. Because stories of hope, of invisible battles fought and won, are the ones we need to keep telling. And in the comments, tell me, not where you're from this time. Tell me one thing you would fight for. One person, one memory, one truth. Make it a monument, because that's what we do. We keep the fort standing, even if we have to do it from 1,000 miles away. Thank you for listening, for waiting with me, for being witnesses. This story is over, but hers is just beginning.